Askreddit thread. People ages 18 to 40s who do not work or go to school. What do you do in your daily life? How do you sustain it? Oh, living the dream. Serious. People who do not work or go to school. What do you do in your daily life? How do you sustain it? Thank you for everyone who commented. I have read. Oh my god, I don't want to read that. I spend most of my time loathing what I've become, commenting on Reddit, and trying not to look at my dwindling bank account. I was the same way until August. I saw a job posting on a website thinking there was no way I'd get it, but I was applying for everything I could. Ended up getting it, and it's my best paying job so far. Don't give up. It's so weird seeing the close Redditor friend in a different subreddit. I remember when I was first assigned to get your gift for the gift exchange and looking through your submission history, I saw that you were in a dark place. I'm really happy to hear that things are taking an upward turn for you. Wow. For those of you wondering, the lovely Strawberry One is a loyal contributor to /rabbits subreddit, both in terms of pictures and her beautiful bunny, Minnie, but especially in terms of support and keeping up with the other buns and comforting those whose buns have passed away. And very kind when my buddy passed away in April. I see her nice comments often in the Rabbit sub. I was so really overjoyed to read that her life is becoming just as positive. In the exchange, I painted her bunny. Aw, that's so sweet. I didn't know they had a rabbit subreddit. It kind of makes me want to buy a rabbit. Same, but with masturbating and lots of Skyrim. I have spent more time in Timriel than on planet Earth in the last few months. I just hope to get a job before my account zeroes out. Just started a new contract 2 weeks ago, but I'll give you a breakdown of my routine. 26-year-old white male with a graphic design degree. I would wake up, go to the gym, free one at the apartment my wife and I rent, shower, eat, apply for jobs, look at ACX and see if there are any books I want to audition for. When friends get online, play games with him, occasionally go to job interview, feel worthless, try not to spend any money, since only my wife is bringing something in, go grocery shopping, wait for wife to get home so she can tell me I'm not worthless, cook dinner, fight over what to do because I've been doing nothing all day and she should get to choose since she is the breadwinner, watch TV, eventually go to bed feeling a complete sense of dread that tomorrow may not be different. My recent stint of unemployment went for almost half a year, and it doesn't feel good at all. Luckily, my wife has been patient with it since those lean months aren't representative of the whole year. But I do get paid. But when I do get paid, I get paid well enough that it all evens out. But it takes forever to find a new contract. Still hoping for full-time somewhere. Guys, I promise I'm doing fine. We're doing okay financially. If we weren't, I wouldn't have definitely taken another job for pay. If you're ever in a situation like this, don't think any job's beneath you. If you need to pay bills, there's nothing wrong with working another job while you search for your dream. I've appreciated all the comments and support and hope that all of you are having happy lives. In 2 weeks, into a contract that will last me past the end of the year, as I have plenty of work to do that keeps me busy. Oh, good. Not just me. The worst was the dread. The overwhelming elephant on your chest. You're awful, useless, and you won't make any money, let alone enough money to be successful. Pressure that keeps you up at night. Reading Reddit to keep those thoughts out. Anything to not be alone in your head for a minute. You don't do anything to distract and keep the door shut tight. Keep the light on and the darkness at bay. I don't think I've ever been clinically depressed, but when I was unemployed, and when it was late at night, I sure as hell understood what it was like. I would stay up until I was so tired, all it would take for me to fall asleep was to put my head down and close my eyes. Being in the silence of my mind where my regrets and fears would echo and amplify was the second worst experience of my life. So yeah, fuck that noise. Second worst, that makes me interested in what's his first worst. Let's see, next one. I'm 40, and I have been a SAHD for 10 years. When our daughter is at school, I do housework, garden, hang out with friends. Wait, stay at home dad. Okay, I think I get that is. When our daughter is at school, I do housework, garden, hang out with friends, woodworking, grocery shopping, cook, etc. I also volunteer as much as I can either at her school or in the community. Stay-at-home house dad, that's my dream job. That's what I've always wanted to be, just because I didn't want to work. I have a fun job now, so I've kind of changed my priorities. But if you asked me what I wanted to do for a living a couple years ago, before I started making money from YouTube, I'd say, I just want to marry a girl who will take care of me, or guy. I don't have to be picky, just as long as they have money and they're okay with me staying home and not doing any work. Your friends also don't work, or do you just find a new bunch to hang out with while the usual group is working? The friends I hang with during the day are other stay-at-home parents. My best friend stays home with his 3-year-olds and 2-month-old twins. My neighbor stays home with his 1-year-old daughter. Wow. Sounds like those comedy movies where a bunch of parents just have kids and babies hanging from their chest, and they are drinking and chilling. Haha, not implying that you do is drink and chill. It's a pretty sweet life. I really can't complain. Last year I hung out with my best friend 3 days a week and got to play with his kid and give him a break to do house stuff. When she napped, we would do yard work or work on his garage together. Right now I'm about to take a shower, go get a haircut, then meet a friend for lunch. After lunch I'll mow the yard and maybe take a nap before I go pick up the kid. That sounds great. That was always the life I wanted. I like my life now though, but that's always what I wanted to do. I was reevaluating my corporate life job. I was in a pharmaceutical manufacturing before being a stay-at-home dad gig. I loved everything I did and would never have left it if it wasn't for our daughter. I love her more than I love my job and was willing to give up a great job and future for really getting a chance to be with and learn who my daughter is going to be. I had some regrets early on, but now it was just uncertainty about the future, but everything has worked out great. I'm curious to know how parents decide who will stay at home once they start having kids. How does that decision usually come by? Is it whoever makes the most, whoever wants to quit their job, whoever is more passionate with housework? My wife stayed home the first year and it wasn't really her thing, and she got accepted to medical school when Sally was 9 months old. She said I would stay home with Sally for a month since I would never get a chance to do it again. 10 years later, I'm still doing it. We discussed that we didn't have a kid to put her in daycare and one of us should stay home. Medical school was my wife's dream and it just happened to come true after our daughter was born. I would never ask her to not go for it. Was going through this thread thinking about saying just marry a doctor, and here it is. Oh, this guy. He's living my dream. My old dream, I should say. I really like what I do now. After getting laid off about 7 months ago from my engineering job, I moved back to my home country and small town with my parents. It was supposed to be a temporary move until I got back on my feet. A lot of my time is spent pumping out applications for a job in my field. Though there are a surprising number of them, my skills apparently aren't an appropriate fit. Bearing that, I've been getting back into running, doing part-time, really small hours before dawn, work at the local golf course helping the greens crew. This sustains the gas for the borrowed vehicle and any expense to help cover my parents for what I use. Then there's Reddit. You horrible, horrible time sunk. Oh my god, I know. I wasted like 3 hours yesterday on Reddit. What the hell is I doing with my life? I'm still hoping this is temporary. The silence from Void is deafening. Technical recruiter here. What type of engineer are you? I am 28. I have worked a few years at 2 failed jobs. I am back at my parents' house. They are very bad health, and I have suffered some health problems from the stress of previous jobs. I mostly take care of my parents, and in my downtime I play a PC game or two. I do random side jobs to barely pay the bills. I fight anxiety and depression because I've never thought things would end up like this, and where I live is mostly elderly people, so I don't really have any friends. Thanks everyone for all the nice comments. I really do appreciate it. I'm on temporary disability, so I go to the treatment center multiple times a week to sustain. I get my money each month due to my disability, and my SO supports me. How much is a disability paying per month, if you don't mind me asking? $800, but my bills for treatments are over $850 a month for my current treatment. I still owe about $5,000 for my hospital stay 2 years ago. I pay $40 a month towards that interest fee. The treatment center is extremely understanding about money problems. I actually got a scholarship to help pay for my bills since my insurance would not cover it because it was a pre-existing condition. This was before the healthcare reform. It would have been over $50,000 without the help. Holy shit. Luckily, my SO pays for rent and groceries. My mom pays for half my medical bills each month, so I have enough to make my car payment and car insurance. My dad died when I was 19 and left us a good chunk of change to pay for my bachelor's and master's degree. I'm really lucky I don't have student loans piled on top of everything else. My story will be different to most. I'm currently unemployed by choice, but only because when I choose to work, I earn good enough money to only need to work 7 or 8 months a year. So I spend 4 or 5 months a year enjoying life, traveling, relaxing, etc. Ooh, that sounds fun. I actually thought about doing that too out of high school. You mind me asking, what occupation were you in/are you on? I honestly do not want to work 9 to 5 till I'm too weak to actually enjoy life and travel. I'm a business consultant, specializing in business transformation projects. I'll work on a project for 8 months or so, then have 4 months off before I look for the next project. Well, when I thought of doing that, I was just going to work like in an oil field or something. Those are dangerous, so they pay you a lot of money, I think. I don't know what it is like anymore. I know that was something that you could do a couple years ago. I don't know what it's like anymore, though. I actually didn't really research it either. It was more of like that would be fun to do. And I didn't really research it. Counter-Strike, Global Offensive. All day. How do you pay for electricity and food and stuff? Trade-ups. What? I just graduated college and I'm writing a novel, which some people definitely see as not working. I had a heap of savings from during my studies, and also a girlfriend who's extremely supportive. On a non-financial note, I sustain it by treating it like a job. I never write at home. I always get up and ready like I'm going to work, but instead go to a cafe or library. Yes, I'm one of those MacBook users at Starbucks. Only person ever to have come out of studying with savings. I never understood how that's a thing for Americans. Do students always come out of school with debt? How and why? Most American students come out of college with debt typically because it costs around $40,000 just for classes. Then you have to pay for books, which are astronomically. They run me about $400 to $600 per semester. And a lot of parents can't afford to send their kids to school, so the kids pull out loans to pay for it. To clarify, when I said $40,000, I meant that as a total average cost of a student tuitions for their bachelor's degree. I'm finishing up school this semester, and my total tuition will have cost around $50,000. Yes, I'm aware that there are things like scholarships and grants, as well as many different ways to get books and live cheaply in college. Typically $40,000 just for classes where I lived. We're displeased with college tuition fees, and we pay around $3,400. Oh my god, that's so cheap. Your numbers completely shock me. The books, up until high school, cost you around $200 per year, which is also insulting, but in college it's normal to go for the same $400, $600 you mean, depending on the course. We usually opt for photocopies. And kids pull out loans in their names. What's the interest rates? Oh, they're really high on student loans. I'm 25. Don't know if this counts, but I can't work due to disability. So I do some housework, watch TV, play video games, and read. Hobbies are a no-go. My SO works full-time, and he recently got me a puppy because he didn't want me to be lonely. I'm 19. Just over 2 months my mother passed away and I had to relocate. I'm fortunate enough to have had someone who was willing to take me in and temporarily take care of me. With strange circumstances and without a vehicle, I haven't been able to look for work yet, but I suspect in the coming months things are going to start to improve. My goal is to have a job before the end of the year, even if it's just part-time. I spend most of my free time programming when I'm here at home, alone, which is a lot of the time, especially in the morning and through the afternoon. I frequent learn programming, daily programming, and other programming subreddits. Programming and solving problems is something that I'm really passionate about, and thankfully so. I would probably go insane if I didn't have something to keep my mind occupying throughout the day. Oh, I remember when I was thinking of things I want to do outside of high school. I was like, maybe I can be like a programmer or something because I like computers. And then I looked online. I was like, nope. This all looks boring. Turns out what I like to do on computers is like go on Reddit and play video games. I don't really. Those are just activities that take place on computers. I don't actually like what goes on behind the scenes. It was all very, very uninteresting to me. I was like, okay, so that's a no-go. I'm 27. Thanks to an inheritance, I own my home outright and have enough left over invested, which barely sustains me. I supplement this with acting jobs, which are few and far between. I do is mostly for pleasure, so about 80% of my time is spent at home doing whatever I please. I take pride in keeping my house clean and maintained, learning cooking, practicing archery, creative writing, and, of course, thousands of hours of PC games. Also, my fiancée is studying full-time for her bachelor's in computer science. She's about to wrap up her second year, and has between 1 and 3 more years to go. I support her any way I can, mostly by making home life as stress-free as possible. So, I'm effectively a house husband. I could not imagine a more pleasant existence for myself. Totally free of burdensome responsibility in my own environment. Oh, living the dream. This is what I want to do as well. I honestly think that would be the life, but at the same time it feels like you're just living, but also is it feels like you are just living. But also, is working 9 to 5 every day till I'm 60 retired and wait till I can't go to the washroom anymore. Just living sounds vastly preferable to working 8 hours a day and just living the rest of the time. Isn't that what we should all aim to do? We work to live, not live to work. Those that are fortunate enough to be able to live without the work, good for them. Yeah, that would be great. I left my job and had like 5 months before I started my MBA. Best 5 months ever. Everyone always says, I think it would drive me crazy not have something to do. Guess what, motherfuckers? There's an infinite number of things to do. Want to learn to draw? Do it. Want to do nothing but read for 2 weeks straight? Done. Want to drive the Montana back country camp in Glacier Park? Hell yes. Want to spend 10 hours taking timed underwater photos of yourself swimming in the open ocean? Yes. Free time is only as boring as a person is. I love my free time. If I won the lottery today, you bet your ass I'd never worry working again. See, this guy gets it. I have tons of hobbies too. The best year of my life was the year after high school when I didn't have to go to school, and all I did was work part-time on the weekends. Oh, I had so much free time to do whatever I wanted. It was literally the best. Didn't expect so many responses. Most people seem to be replying that it's only possible if you have money. Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. That's why I'm working now, and I won't after the lottery. I'm saying that if I didn't need to work, I wouldn't. And I'm lucky the things I find exciting are generally super cheap activities. Sucks if you only get your kicks off snorting diamond-infused cocaine or something. I'm with you. I was wrongfully laid off from a job that I put my heart and soul into and didn't work for about 11 months. Through a hefty rainy day fund and unemployment benefits, I was able to comfortably sustain myself for that time, and I did everything I never had the time to do and blissfully enjoyed every second of it. Well, I guess so. It's so ingrained to our society that we have to work that the point of living has become to work so we can retire and pass on the money to the next generation. Oh yeah, that's what I kind of thought too, until I read a book in my senior year of high school which changed my mind, and I was like, you know what, that's a terrible way to live your life. Fuck that shit. I think the trick is to find work that you find meaningful. I think the real trick is to create time for yourself to do meaningful things, rather than trying to squeeze meaning out of a 9 to 5 job. I'm a stay-at-home mom, housewife. My husband's income supports me and our children. It used to be the norm, but it is still very common. It is a good partnership, I think. There are lots of domestic duties when 4 people live under one roof. The last time I said on Reddit I stayed home, I was told that I was a drain on society. I've never looked down on a housewife. They're living the dream I've always wanted. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so when I tell people on Reddit, I'm commended for it. But when I tell people I meet in person, they're instantly skeptical and seem to think there's something shady about me and my choice. Taking the kids to the park is an exercise in isolation. The moms and nannies all group together chatting. I'm jealous of their camaraderie. If it makes you feel any better, I'm a mom, and the other mom/nanny shunned me too. I don't have much in common with them other than I pushed a tiny human out of my vagina. I'm early 40s. We quit our jobs a year ago and are living off our savings, 4% safe withdrawal rate style. Carpool son to school, return home to do yoga, head to coffee shop to write for 2 hours, come home, plan stuff like finances, travel, where to move to next, plan some sort of slow cooker meal or not, pick up son, hang out, work, Khan Academy, read, diner. A challenge is being plunged into Reddit and other forums too much. I find I need to schedule times with specific intentions and time limits for the dark playground. Yeah, when you're by yourself at home and you have to schedule your own crap. It's a really good idea to schedule out time limits and stuff. I don't do it for everything, but I do it for some stuff. Like, I remember when I was in school last semester, I would time it out, you're going to be doing this for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break, then continue for another 25 minutes. Then I had a timer installed in my Firefox browser, which would remind me every 25 minutes to take a 5-minute break. Got so much more work done that way. Your brain really loves breaks, even if they're really short. And it's almost like you're just taking a long-ass break because you're totally ready to go back and do it again. Of course, I'm not in school anymore, so... I set it for hour-long intervals because I actually like what I do. I'm 19. I was supposed to serve my military service, but was sent home because of a hearing loss. I went back home and lived with my dad. Finally got to see a doctor yesterday that helped me with my ear. The reason for the hearing loss is an old ear infection. I can hear fine now. My plan for the rest of this year is to get a job and retake my math exam. I graduated from uni 2 months ago. I have a master's in linguistics, but there are no jobs. I live with my parents and I don't pay rent. During the day, I read, write, do chores, try to help my parents around the house, and look for a job. I also volunteer at charity shops 2 days a week. I honestly feel like shit about it, but try not to dwell on it, as it isn't productive to feel like that at all. Unemployed, 28-year-old female. Right now, I'm looking for a decent job I can actually enjoy and a field I'm interested in. I had terrible jobs since my late teens. I got laid off from my soul-crushing office job, the last, longest, and worst of them, 5 months ago, and I decided to change things up. I can't really sustain myself financially, but my parents can. Some might consider it lucky, but I feel horrible about it. I already owe them so much, and now this too. They're amazing people who support me in every decision I make, so I really hope one day they will think that these months were worth it. I live alone in a small apartment, spend most of my daytime in bed, working on some personal projects at night, going cycling or jogging early in the morning. This has been my daily routine for the last few months. I'm ready for a change, but I can't say I'm not enjoying sleeping as long as I want, playing games or watching movies all day long, living at my own pace. 29 years old, in an hour I will be. Currently in my second 6-month break of my life. Last one was 3 or so years ago. I'd worked full-time from 18 to 24 or so non-stop. Hardly ever having sufficient breaks. Took 6 months off, found a good job, best one I've ever had, but left after 2.5 years as they looked like they were going to collapse. Ended up selling to someone else. I'm working on starting a company, and I live at home with my parents. They don't mind. They know I'd much rather be on my own. All this to say, it's okay to take the break. Most people I know are way overworked, or work 50 to 60 hours a week or other crazy things. I haven't done that too often, and I got paid for it when I did, but it all accumulates. If you have your parents' blessing, then enjoy the break while it lasts. Hope you find your calling when you're ready. Oh, I wish I had parents who could support me like that. I kind of did, though. Like, when I stayed home for a year after high school, and I only worked part-time, my mom did make me pay money, but it wasn't a lot. It was like $100 or $200 a month or something, which was not half bad at all. And I was totally aware of that too, and I totally just took full advantage of it. And I didn't feel guilty at all because my mom gave me a pretty terrible childhood, so I don't think I'll ever feel guilty for taking stuff from my parents. She totally turned around though later on in life, so it's not so bad. And I think she uses any opportunity she can to make it up, so it's not so bad. I haven't worked in over 15 years. Lived in a medical state, grew weed, make hash oil, and have a sizable stash of Bitcoin I bought when they were $10. Damn. That still sounds like work to me. And growing weed and making hash oil, I imagine you make money from doing that. I know it may not be traditional work like a 9-to-5 job, but if you're making money from it, I think it counts. I'm 31. I just look for jobs every day. I currently live at home. I have a neurological disorder. I am between a lot of doctors, pain clinic specialist. I'm not on disability because I'm under 25, but get allowance from my government. I'm very lucky to live where I do. I'm also very lucky that my parents have been very supportive this entire time. I worked so hard in school to maintain my grades despite all the hospitals and doctors and tests. I wanted to do geophysics in uni, so doing nothing is hell for me. Most days, if I'm not at appointments, I'm trying to learn lots of math so when I get better and can do geophys happens, hint, not going to, it will be easier. Trying to learn a language for the translating work. Trying to learn as much program as I can so I could maybe work for a friend of mine who owns an IT company. Sort of trying to prepare for a very uncertain future, I guess. Well, that sucks. Neurological disorder, doesn't that mean like a brain disorder? Assuming you're in Australia, my brother had a severe brain hemorrhage last year and has been left with aphasia, complete proverbial blindness, and mild decreased level of movement in his left side. Only noticeable if you look for it. He hasn't been able to qualify for any CenturyLink allowance or disability yet, despite requiring full-time therapy for the next 1.5 years. 2 when we first started applying. We're a pretty average income family. My brother and I have moved out of home to reduce the load on my parents. Glad to hear that you're able to get it. I carefully saved being a frugal bastard over 5 years at a 9-hour job to have 6 months off to laze around. Play video games and some outdoor stuff around WI. I'm 28. I paid my own car and student loans off ages ago, so it's very basic for bills. Rent, electric, internet, sell beer. Still have plenty of cash to live on and do live with a roommate. I carefully saved being a frugal bastard for 5 years at 9, and to have 6 months lays around. Okay, so he saved up so he could take 6 months off. Got it. I'm 20. Got expelled from high school at 17. Graduated as a homeschool student when I was 18 to be able to enroll in a few community college classes, which I attend off and on. Like many others here, I'm living off inheritance of sorts. Really just a 6-figure stock portfolio that was gifted to me. It wasn't massive, but it's enough to where I'm able to day trade as a job. I'm still making pretty crap money, but at least I'm profitable. The only real way to be a successful trader is to have enough to where you can lose money until you've learned how not to. So I owe pretty much everything to pure luck of the draw when I was born. From reading this thread, it seems like really the only way to get away with not going to school is to have money. That sucks, and I know I am a very, very lucky person. But I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles. A 6-figure stock portfolio? $600,000 isn't a lot. Sorry, but by that I mean I'm not kicking back living off my yearly returns, let alone making 6 figures like the guy in one of the top comments. I guess he's just living off the profits or something. Be sure to get 10 grand in debt, I'm sure. It all really depends how much he's actually getting off of that. I don't know how stocks work. And when I tried to learn, it was really boring. Let's see, I'm 25, live at home with my parents. I've never had a job. In the UK, it's known as being a NEET, which means someone who is not in education, employment, or training. I have absolutely no chance of getting a job in the future as I have no useful skills or talents and no experience or references. I also have terrible people/social skills. Also, I recently got an Asperger's diagnosis, which makes it even less likely that I'll get a job in the future. A typical day for me involves me sleeping during the day and playing video games all night. I'm a nocturnal hermit. My parents are under a lot of stress financially and emotionally because of my situation. Oh, this is the one I was looking for. As soon as I saw this thread, I was expecting a whole bunch like this. NEETs. Hikikomoris in Japan. I live at home with my parents. I've never had a job. Yeah. That's exactly the people who just stay home all day in their parents' basements playing video games who've never worked a day in their life. Well, at least you have honesty going for you. Sounds just like me, bro. Except I haven't been diagnosed with Asperger's, though I think I have it. But with depression, I don't know what I'm going to do in the future when I have to provide for myself. It's the scariest thought imaginable. Looking at your posting history, I don't think you have anything to worry about with written communication. Have you considered contacting an Asperger/autism charity for help? You could try doing some volunteering, which would help with your employability. I would have thought you'd be able to enroll in some kind of education or training. Yeah, I mean, they do have training and stuff like that, but being a person who's never had a job or doesn't go out and has no experiences is not exactly the person who's going to be out looking for that kind of stuff. Oh, let's see. There are a lot of posts regarding housewives, husbands, or stay-at-home people, or SO who brings in money, but I haven't really seen too many posts of a single people living on their own, so I'll share my story. I just turned 29 last week. I'm also completely born deaf. As a result of this disability, I'm under the government's Social Security insurance program. I receive approximately $750 to $800 a month. I have not had a job since dropping out of college, just under 10 years now. I generally bounce around places because I haven't found anyone or anything to tether me down to a location. I'm a free spirit, following the wind. However, that said, my last 2 places. I moved to Philadelphia about 3 years ago. I saw on Craigslist there was a house offering root for rent at a good price, so I went there to check it out. Anyone familiar with the city knows the worst area in Philly is Northern Philly. The house is slightly off to the left from dead center of the worst block in the city. Full of people you would expect. The house itself was okay. Everything worked, even though the appearance wasn't great. I didn't care. It was livable. The rent ran me $300 for a room. I shared this house with 7 other tenants. The house is a 3-floor townhouse. Most of the tenants were cool people. I had a nice time living there. Back to the point at hand. Rent ran me $300, and food ran me about $100 a month. Drop another $100 for phone, Netflix, Hulu, music, online stuff. That leaves me $250 to play with. I do not socialize. I do not drink. I do not smoke cigs. I spend the majority of my time on a computer playing and working. I was unable to save money, but I never struggled either. I lived there for a year, and then my SO and I moved to his apartment. Rent changed to $350. I was now responsible for utilities. On the plus side, it's just me and him in a 2-bedroom apartment. Despite the cost increase, the benefits far outweighed. We lived together for a few months. Then he was arrested on sex crimes and ended up living by myself, basically house sitting for him. This went on for a year. Rent was $350. Utilities ran me $100. Internet ran me $50. Phone, Netflix, Hulu, music. That's $600. I only had $150 to play with. Still reasonable when considering I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment by myself. Not half bad. People often ask, how the heck can you live in a measly sum of money? And I always respond by saying there is a lot of things you want but don't need. If you don't need to go rock climbing classes, I don't need a car. I don't need to go out every Friday to eat and drink. If you must drink, buy a 6-pack and come right back home. This will be my last one. My throat's going dry. If you must drink with someone, invite them to your place. Hell, rent a keg for all I care. It's still a lot cheaper than going to a bar. The point is, everything is cheaper if you do it at home. My daily life is mostly Netflix and internet. It's kind of a boring life, but it's stable. Edit. You can save hundreds of money by opting to go to discount stores like Dollar General or Save-A-Lot. The generic products are incredibly cheap and taste almost just as good once you get used to it. Yep. This is basically my life for so long. Before I started making decent money from YouTube, I was always struggling to pay rent every month. So, I had nothing but cheap food all the time. Whew. Okay, that's it. There's only a few more, but my throat's totally dry because I read a different one before I did this one.